Breakfast in Paris is dreamy, but the French don't eat the bacon and eggs and sausage and biscuit breakfast that you find in the US or the UK. In Paris, breakfast is more like a coffee and a croissant, but there are way more pastries in a French bakery that you can enjoy with your morning coffee. So in this video, we'll share our top 10 breakfast pastries, we'll tell you what they are, and great places to find them so you can enjoy a little more deliciousness in Paris. Are you ready to go?
I am, I can't wait. Allez, on y va.
Let's go. So of course we're going to start with the French croissant, but not any croissant. This croissant comes from Carton Bakery, which was designated the #1 croissant maker in all of Paris region for 2022. So what makes a croissant great? You can see that it glistens, you can see that it has lots of folds, and it looks like it's gonna flake and crumble when you squeeze it, and it does. So check that out. There's the fluffiness, the butteriness. It's sweet and not sweet. It's airy, it's fluffy. Like, you can just tell that is an amazing croissant, and you understand why it's the best in all of Paris. I mean, come on, look at that. It's like air, only delicious. That with a cup of coffee, and you have a classic French breakfast.
Wow, that's an excellent croissant. Really good. Another breakfast pastry, or viennoiserie, which is amazing in Paris, is a pain au raisin. This little guy right here. So think croissant dough that is basically flat rolled with a little bit of custard cream in the middle and then raisins. And usually it's not too sweet, so I can't wait to bite this one and see if Carton did it justice. This is a great snack. I love pain au raisin. You want to try it, Colleen?
Yeah. I love the different textures. It's like the lightness, the sweetness, the crunchiness. It's got a bunch of great little textures. It's really simple.
Now, those breakfast pastries in France are called viennoiseries, and the reason why we call them viennoiseries is because they are originally from Vienna in Austria. Yeah, you heard me right. The croissant is not French. The quintessential French pastry is originally from Vienna in Austria. Now you know.
The next breakfast pastry is this baby right here. And that is an almond croissant. This one happens to have chocolate in it, but you can get it with or without chocolate. And basically this is yesterday's croissant or yesterday's pain au chocolat, but they fill it with creamy stuff and almonds and make it extra good so they don't waste anything. But this is one of my very favorite pastries in Paris. I can't wait to take a bite. Look at that. Oh, and the bees love it. You can see, look how flaky that is. It's a little custardy almond paste in here. I mean, you can see it's a flaky croissant, repurposed. And this particular aux amandes we got from Tout, Autour, Duponts in the north part of the Marais. An amazing little spot, definitely worth knowing about, and delicious. You want a bite?
I do.
Here's a little bite.
Thank you. Oh, wow. This is good. I love a croissant aux amandes or pain au chocolat aux amandes. I mean, when you come to Paris, you have to try that. And of course, the world famous pain au chocolat, and it's what we call in France an incontournable or an unavoidable, like you have to have a pain au chocolat. And this is from this amazing Boulangerie, so I'm expecting that this is going to be rather delicious. So I'm going to take a bite. Oh yeah. It's very flaky, very buttery. Now we're towards the end of the day, so it's not as fresh as when you first buy it, you know, at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning, because it's just nice and fresh, but it's still absolutely delicious. I got tons of butter on my hands because there's a lot of butter in that pain au chocolat. And this with an espresso in the morning, that's a French breakfast. You have a pain au chocolat, an espresso, and root thoughts, and you're Parisian. So what we got today from Ernest and Valentin is this beautiful thing, which I don't know how to describe it, besides that it's just pure deliciousness. Puff pastries with crème pâtissière, which is a pastry cream, and chocolate chip. The closest thing to decadence in a pastry you can get, and it's absolutely delicious, and it's falling off, so I gotta take a bite. Oh. Oh, this is good. This is really, really good. It's very rich, very sweet. Now, one of the top 10 viennoiseries that you have to try in Paris is the pain suisse, this thing. A lot of people go for the pain au chocolat and the croissant because they know that, but this pain suisse is mwah. Now, the great thing about this boulangerie is it's right off of a metro station. I mean, you come off the metro and boom, the boulangerie is right there.
I would normally get the pain au chocolat. This one is not as flaky and fluffy. It's not a croissant. You can see it's a thicker kind of a bread, but it's a sweet bread. It's a viennoiserie, or the bread that comes from Vienna. But that chocolate mixed with the pastry cream filling, this is rich, it's delicious, and you just have to try it. It's good stuff. The next breakfast pastry to try in Paris is this little baby right here. It's called the Chasson Palm, or as Americans might call it, an apple strudel kind of a thing. But this is a little bit thicker, crusty dough than a croissant, but it's still pretty light. And inside we have tons of really nice fresh apple. I'm taking a bite. I didn't even get to the apple part yet, but it still tastes like apple. And there's this crispy, crusty, like toasted sugary thing on top. That's delicious. This with a cup of coffee, just barely a light custard. There's not much more than apple in it, but man, it opens up the flavor of the dough, just gives it a special little edge. It's so yummy. It's messy, but good. And you can get a Chasson Palm in any boulangerie, anywhere in Paris, probably all over France. But this one we got in a small bakery called Le Petite Alsatienne. They have a lovely arrangement of baked goods, formula lunches and stuff, but I can tell you that their Chasson Palm is delightful.
So the second thing that we got in this boulangerie is called Shuket. Take a look at those. Those little things. This little breakfast pastry, or Shuket, is super light. There's actually nothing in it, it's just a little puff pastry with a little bit of sugar cubes that you can see on top like that. Just a little bit of sweetness and a very light breakfast pastry. Very simple. This is perfect if you want just a little something without having something that is filled with cream or chocolate or sugar. This is a great little thing. They were selling them by the dozen, but we bought a half a dozen. So you get 6 of them, share them with 2 people, 3 each, or however you want.
That is simple, light, and delicious. Just a perfect little touch.
The next viennoiserie that we got is the pain au lait. This little baby right here. And this is actually very simple. Think about a miniature baguette. It's just a tiny little baguette made out of viennoiserie, breakfast pastry. And there's nothing inside. It's just, plain. There's no sugar, no filling. So if you don't want anything, you just want a little piece of bread that is not a baguette, but this is what you would have for breakfast with coffee. This is what you have, a little pain au lait. It's very simple. It's a great little breakfast pastry.
This breakfast pastry is one of my all-time favorites, and we got it from one of my all-time favorite bakeries, La Maison Isabel. And this one is the cognac. Look at this thing right here. You can see all of the circles in there, the crispy fluffiness of it. This is a buttery, decadent thing with crispy, crunchy sugar on a layered pastry, all wrapped together like a snail shell, and I love it. So can't wait to take a bite. Look at that. If you think like in America we have the elephant ear pastries, it's kind of like that, only it's a little fluffier inside, not as crispy, but ooh, I'm in heaven. There's no cinnamon like a cinnamon bun, but this is just buttery sweet roll heaven. I don't have to share it, do I?
Yes, you do.
Okay, a little piece. And the big piece is mine. Oh, you hear that crispy crunchiness?
Oh man.
Maison Isabel gets it right.
Well. So this is not a light breakfast pastry at all. And It sticks a little bit to your teeth, all that sugar kind of like, it's gonna linger with you for at least half an hour until you get it all out, but it's all kinds of good stuff. When you come to Paris, you have to try a kouign-amann. This is an amazing breakfast pastry, viennoiserie. It actually comes from the Brittany part of France. That's where it comes from originally, but now they do it more and more in Paris, and it's actually a kind of weird name, kouign-amann, and it's really good. Next, we got brioche, which are these things. And there are two kinds of brioche. There's this one, which is a tête de brioche, which is what I will call the classic brioche. This is what I remember as a kid. That's what it looks like. And then this one, which has large pieces of sugar on top of it. So one sweet, one unsweetened. Usually for breakfast, we have this one, which is unsweetened. So I'm gonna try the unsweetened first, which is what I remember when I was a kid. A little bit buttery, but it's very light. This is a great breakfast pastry if you don't want something too sweet, too buttery, too much, like filled with chocolate and stuff. If you like more plain stuff, this goes great with coffee or tea in the morning because it gives you a little bread that is not a baguette. And I'm gonna try the sweet one. And this one is the one with rock sugar. You know, you open it up like that. It's the exact same thing on the inside, but this one is gonna be a little bit more sweet. It's exactly like a brioche, different shape, except that you have sugar on top of it. It doesn't have an enormous amount of flavor. It's not filled with chocolate or anything. It's very nice for breakfast. But so if you're looking for something a little bit more mellow, a brioche is really the way to go.
That's exactly the right thing if you just don't want to go out on an empty stomach. It's simple, it's plain. I want to dip it in coffee. And it's just kind of yummy to start the day simple. Good stuff.
So we've put together a Paris travel guide that includes some of our preferred and recommended restaurants, bakeries, tours, and even transportation. So there's a link in the description. Check it out and see if it's a good fit for what you're looking for. And that does it for today. Thank you so much for watching this video. I would recommend that you watch this one next. And until next time, au revoir.